Hey everyone, and welcome to the Retro channel, and today we're taking a quick look at some replacement ROMs for the Commodore VIC-20. Just like the C64 that I designed replacement ROMs for, we now have a set for the Commodore VIC-20, and this also includes a dual character ROM, much like the Commodore 64 version, which had a VIC-20 font and a C64 font. So let's get these installed. We'll look at the power consumption of these versus the originals, and also take a look at this dual character ROM. So what I have here is one of the older style VIC-20s with the 9-volt AC input, but this will obviously work on the newer cost-reduced versions as well. Let's pop out these ROM chips, which are already in sockets, and yes, I've already heat sinked them because they do get quite toasty, and we'll put in the replacement ROMs. So on the top side of these we have the original part number, and if you look on the bottom side we also have the placement. So UE12 is going to go in this socket labeled UE12, and this is the VIC-20 NTSC kernel, which will not work in this machine because it is a PAL revision. So instead we're going to need this one, which is the PAL kernel replacement. You can see the PAL version is an 07 revision and the NTSC is an 06. So because this is a PAL machine, we're going to be putting in the 07 version. If you put an NTSC kernel in a PAL machine, it's not going to work properly, and likewise if you put a PAL kernel in an NTSC machine, that also won't work. So you do have to get the right kernel for your machine. The basic ROM is a lot easier. There's only one version of this, so that goes straight into UE11. And for the character ROM, once again, I've created two versions. So one of them is the dual character, which has the VIC-20 and the C64 font, which you can select by this little switch on the bottom. And the other one is just the plain VIC-20 character ROM. Let's just throw in the dual character ROM because that's slightly more interesting. That's all there is to it. Let's power on the machine, make sure it works. All right, here we go. Cool. System appears to be working. That's always a good start. Let's swap this character ROM over. And there we are. C64 font on a VIC-20. I think I do actually prefer the look of the C64 font on the VIC-20. The VIC-20 font, oh, maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm more used to seeing the Commodore 64 font, so maybe the VIC-20 font just looks odd to me. So I've already done a number of tests to make sure these are fully functional. One thing I will say is the dual character ROM is not the same as the Commodore 64 dual character ROM. I was kind of hoping it'd be easy just to repurpose that one, but the VIC-20 addresses the character ROM slightly differently to the Commodore 64. So we will actually need the VIC-20 version for the VIC-20 and the C64 version for the C64. But at least that provides a way of swapping out the character ROM should you choose to do so. So let's do a quick power consumption test. Let's pop out the kernel ROM, and what I'm going to do is just put a little socket in underneath and just bend out pin 24, which is VCC, so we can run that through the multimeter and see how much current this thing is drawing. So I've clipped one lead onto the leg that we bent out, and I'm just going to use, say, the character ROM, pin 24, because that's also got VCC, to get our 5 volts. So that's all going to run through the multimeter, and that'll give us an accurate idea of what the current draw is. And we're seeing 3.66 milliamps. Let's test it out with one of the original ROMs. All right, original kernel ROM, we are seeing about 86 milliamps. It's dropping down slowly. And 85 maybe. So yeah, definitely a huge difference in power consumption, and obviously these ones get quite toasty, whereas the replacements run completely cold. So that's another reason why you might want to replace your ROMs, but obviously if you've got a non-working ROM, then you're going to need to replace it anyway, and these just provide a neat solution for you to do so. So with that, I'm just going to leave these ROMs in this machine. Even though the originals are working, it's going to benefit from less power consumption, which means less heat generation, and hopefully that'll just prolong the life of this VIC-20. So the VIC-20 ROMs are now available on my Tindy store, along with the Commodore 64 ROMs. They're pretty much only for the longboard Commodore 64s. The shortboard uses a different type of ROM. It's actually got the BASIC and Kernel in a single chip, which is a 28-pin ROM IC, and they're still fairly easily replaceable with just a regular 27C128, which is just a regular EEPROM that you can program with the Mini Pro. So I don't see much of a reason to design one of these to replace a 28-pin ROM, at least not just yet, seeing as you can still get the 27C series fairly easily, and they're pretty easy to program with any off-the-shelf programmer. I know there are a few other systems out there that use 24-pin ROMs, like the Coco 1 and 2, the IBM 5150, the Atari XL and XE lines use those, and I will have something for those and potentially any other system that may work, and that is a user programmable version. This is just a rough design, and I actually had to make some changes to this, so I need to do another run of PCBs before these are going to become available. So hopefully in the next few weeks I'll have this programmable version ready, and this again pretty much is going to work the same as these ROMs, except you'll be able to program these yourself with whatever you want. So they'll also work in the VIC-20, Commodore 64. I've already tested it in the Coco series, and also the Atari XL to replace the basic ROM works in that as well. And like I said, the IBM 5150 should work with this as well, and possibly some other systems. The only exception here is probably the character ROM for the VIC-20, because like I said, that is addressed differently to the standard ROMs. So yeah, couple of weeks away for this one at least, but for now the VIC-20 ROMs are available on the Tindy store. So that's it for now, just a short video for today, and coming up next we'll probably repair something. So yeah, thank you all for watching. A huge thanks to the people that support the channel on Patreon, and I will hopefully catch you in the next one. Bye. Oh, shut up.